Welcome to the Jungle. I'm your host, Andy Garza, President and CEO of Big Gorilla Sales and Marketing Training. Here in the Jungle podcast for all the hungry entrepreneurs, you'll hear firsthand experiences from business owners of how they overcame challenges on their road to success. Every week, we'll have a different business owner from every walk of life. If you want to learn more about guerrilla marketing, visit biggorillamarketing.com. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Big Gorilla Marketing. Welcome to this week's episode of the Jungle podcast for hungry entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Andy Garza, and this week we'll be talking about setting goals. And I have here next to me is our guest co-host, Allison and Andy, owner of Awaken Marketing. Thank you for coming, Allison.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to talk about goal setting. You know, I know it's still early in the year, and there's plenty of time to set goals if you haven't. And you may have already set it right after the first of the year as far as in business. A lot of us have our New Year's resolutions, that type of thing, but this is a business goal setting what we're going to be talking about. First of all, you know, if you haven't, it's not too late. It's still very early in the year to set your goals. But when you set your goals, it's good to be specific. Number one, everybody tells you that. Be specific on what your goals are going to look like and what you want out of your business in the forthcoming year. But more important than actually setting the goals, or as important, I should say, is when you set your goals, you know, you just can't put pie in the sky numbers, gazillion, bajillion dollars I want to do this year. It's about making plans to actually achieve your goals. And that's as important, if not more important, than the goal itself. You have to make preparations, plans, how you're going to do it, how you're going to scale up, whatever your goal ends up being. You actually got a plan to do it. It's just not going to happen by accident just because you have it as a goal. And then I kind of want to talk a bit more in depth about that. When I set my goals, I break them down to, okay, in order to achieve this, you know, level of business, I've got to be prepared for it. I got to have the help that I need, for one, whether it's in sales or whether it's the ability to handle if you have a product or a service, to handle the extra service that you're going to have to provide to achieve your goals. So the personnel, it becomes very key that you have the personnel to help you in this endeavor of achieving your goals. I know Allison has a little different methodology of what she does. Explain a little bit about what you do when you set your goals, Allison.
Yeah, so you know, going back to the corporate world, when I was in the corporate world working for Liberty Mutual Insurance, you know, they had a goal setting process that they gave us that, you know, using SMART goals, and they teach you those in college too. And those are great. It's the same, you know, being specific, making them measurable, attainable, and setting a timeline for those. So, you know, I used to set my goals that way and it worked well, but I actually have a new process now that I use, you know, being my own boss and kind of, you know, setting my own goals and really taking charge of them. So whatever your kind of next level big goal is, that's what I look at for myself. So what's my next level big goal, whether it's an income goal, whether it's buying my, you know, next level big car that I want to have, you know, I'll figure out what that is. And then I look at what are 3 smaller goals that I need to achieve before I can hit that big goal. And then for each of those 3 goals, those smaller goals, I figure out 3 daily actions or weekly actions that will help me achieve each of those. So then I can really start to form the habits. What do I need to do daily? And then track those. If you have the time and capacity, track yourself on those. So hold yourself accountable for doing those daily and weekly actions so that you can make sure that you get to your goals.
Now, do you actually write down the goals? I mean, I know a lot of people think that's a very simple thing, but
that's a big part. That's a big part. There's actually, you know, a connection with your hand to your brain. This is kind of just a side note, but a lot of what we learn in school is actually programmed into our brain through writing it. So it's really a big thing. There's a lot of greats. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, mindset coaches that will reinforce that too.
You know, when I was very young, my very first job was a realtor, and I was 20 years old. I got my license, and I looked like I was 15 too. But one thing I knew about myself was I was very visual on my goals. So the first thing I did is I went to a Cadillac dealership. This is back in 1980. Dates me quite a while. Went to a Cadillac dealership got a brochure of their top of the line car, which was a Seville. That was their, it was newly designed. So I went and cut out the middle fold, which is all the car, and put it in front of my desk. Pasted it, or taped it up, right, so I saw it every single day. Now, I'm very visual, so I have to see the goals that I have. Some people, what do they call those boards?
Yeah, vision boards, I was gonna talk about that,
Yeah.
I have
So,
some.
I started that very young, and it worked. I mean, I didn't obviously have instant gratification as far as achieving my goal, but I eventually got that Cadillac, a brand new one, only 5 years later. And then I renewed it, I did something else, I had a different car. Cars were my thing, you know, I was a luxury car guy since my very first car was basically a brand new Lincoln. That was when I was 19. But I've always been I had Lincolns and Cadillacs and Lexus and that type of thing. But that was my thing, you know, that triggered something in me to achieve greater things than by using visuals. So you can expound on that, talk about the.
Yeah, I have a vision board myself, and I set this up right when I started my business. And I put, 10 different things on there that I wanted to create in my life. My dream house is on there, the style of house I want, my dream car is on there. Being more patient with my kids, going on vacations with my kids, being an expert in marketing. And then I actually, got fancy and cut up, magazine stuff to represent that. So I had a nice visual picture of all that I wanted on one board. In those 2 years, I just telling my husband, it stayed up for 2 years. I had planned this is going to be a 1-year vision board, but I've achieved 80 to 90% of those on that board that I looked at every day. It's right behind my computer. So I look at it when I'm going through challenges. Right in the middle of it, it has, I can do hard things too. So I look at my goals when I'm going through challenges, when I'm working through challenges, and I just keep in mind what I want to achieve, and it just helps, tenfold. The only thing that's not on there is my dream house, my dream car, but those are kind of the big goals, so we'll get there.
Yeah, I still have my next level car, and I go out and I actually test drive the car. Now, it's a little bit weird because these are very expensive cars, and they don't let anybody just go out there, here, let me test drive this $150,000 Mercedes. You gotta go through a little bit before they let you do that. They may not even let you do that. They'll drive it themselves and you just ride it. So, but that's kind of my next level car. That I haven't owned a Mercedes, and so again, sticking with the car theme, that's what kind of motivates me to do things now. Essentially, I'm retired, but I still have goals. I still use visuals. Visuals are very powerful. So you write them down, you have a visual together, it's in your brain, and your brain can do some wonderful things when it has focus. And I believe that's what helped me achieve all the things I've achieved in different sales positions and the companies that I've started, were the visuals that I put in front of me, that helped me, help my brain come up with, like Allison pointed out, that, sometimes you have a hard day, hard week, hard month, and something's got to get you through it. And for me, it's the visuals of my end result, the goals that I set.
Yeah, also something I just thought of too is, when you're setting your goals, sometimes you may not have clear goals and you may not know what it is you really want, or you have this goal that somebody else has put on you, or you think you should have. And this really interesting exercise I did about 6 months ago, I want to share.
Now for a quick break to thank our sponsors: Awaken Marketing, Awaken New Possibilities, Griner Law Group, Small Business Showcase Magazine, celebrating the small business spirit, M&D Advertising, Creations Beyond Expectations, and Big Gorilla Sales and Marketing Training, bringing out your inner gorilla.
Share. One of my coaches had me write down every day in the morning. You take about 3 or 4 minutes first, and you dream. And you dream about what a day in your dream life would look like. And you go through the steps from when you wake up, what kind of house are you in? Where do you live? What are you doing for work? What's your personal life look like? Your leisure time. And do that every day for 30 days. And it may be something different each day, and that's okay, that's the point of the experience, but by the end of those 30 days, you can go back and see the things that showed up every day, or the things that showed up often. And those are the things that you really want. So that's interesting because a lot of people set a big goal, but it's not theirs and they don't know it. And so that's just something I found really helpful in getting, figure out what I want.
That is so true. Another thing that, you learn this just by, buying and selling cars. The reason that when you go buy a car that the salesperson wants you to take a test drive is basically the same thing. They want you to mentally own the car. And the statistics show the chances of you buying a car after you've test drove it increases like 70%. So if you don't test drive a car, even though you may intend to buy it, you don't end up buying it because you've never mentally taken ownership of it. So that's one thing I've made it. That's why I test drove my dream car. That's why when we think about one of our goals is a vacation, a cruise or something like that, we actually go to the travel agency, pick up as many brochures on cruises, pick out the one we want, and we plaster that cruise. My wife and I make it like we're owning the visual. So I mean, visuals are important and that they are powerful, but taking ownership. That's why realtors, when they do an open house, they will put candles or something that smell like cookies, grandma's cookies. They want you to visualize yourself in the house. And smell is one of actually a guerrilla marketing tactic. They use that sense to make you remember, grandma's cookies that it feels like home. Yeah, exactly. And these are little things that you learn along the way that people that I've learned on certain marketing things, especially after the car dealership. They know once they get you in that car, that you have a very high chance of driving home with it if they can get you behind the wheel and take ownership mentally. And while you're driving, you don't know it, and maybe you do, but you're actually picturing yourself driving home from work or taking us home to your family as soon as you get behind the wheel. And that's a very powerful way of getting you to actually sign the papers to own it.
Yeah, and not only from a marketing perspective, just in achieving your goals, when you have that exercise of going to test drive the car when you're not even at the place to buy it that day, putting that emotion behind what you feel towards what you want helps you achieve it. It gives you the drive to move forward and do the things you need to do to achieve it. So yeah, it's wonderful when you look at it that way.
Yeah, I mean, and this can be true with anything, not just cars or houses or vacations, but there's a lot of little things that become goals that are, if you visualize them and you have that visual stare at you every day as a reminder, it's very powerful. Your brain will work in ways that, and it's been proven that, as your day-to-day difficulties come in and running a company, that type of thing, you have certain problems, certain hurdles you have to go over, days. Your brain, when you focus on something, will actually come up with the solutions that it normally wouldn't have. Charles Munger and Warren Buffett had a lifelong habit of spending 1 hour a day just thinking. 1 hour. I mean, Charles Munger just passed away in November at the age of 99. To the day he died, every day he spent 1 hour a day just thinking. And he said, it's amazing how much your brain will solve on the daily problems that you run into, whether it's your business or whatever the case is. But they were adamant about spending 1 hour a day just thinking and dreaming and figuring out how to navigate the next day or the coming week. He says every single day they did that. That tells me a lot. These guys amassed a fortune of $991 billion. I think they know a little bit about, what it takes to achieve some great things. So when they have something to say about their daily habits, I really listened to that, because they had some amazing ones. They also spent an hour a day learning. And that was huge. You know, their top 10, I talked about this before, their top 10 tips of success, 5 of them all had to do with learning. So they didn't stop learning. Warren Buffett's like 96 or 97 right now. He's up there too, and unfortunately, Charles Munger just passed away at 99. But you know, imagine that in your 90s and you're still wanting to learn. That was a philosophy I took up when I was 20. I was a sponge, and I still am. I try to learn everything I can, even though I know I'll never use a lot of it. But still, it's good to know. And I don't know Allison can relate to this. Just kind of off the subject a little bit. I'm into astrophysics, and I know Allison is too. I read a lot about astrophysics. I never went to college or anything like that and studied it, but it was of interest to me. I would say after about age 40, 45, I really got interested in astrophysics. So I read a lot about that and listen to a lot of podcasts and a couple of more well-known astrophysicists around that do a lot of podcasts.
And quantum physics too, you know, they're very similar, but you know, a lot of the things that we're talking about right now are actually outcomes of quantum physics principles. So, you know, rewiring your brain and training your brain to look at the life that you want, live in the emotions of the life that you want, think the way that that person, that higher self of you would think. And then your brain actually starts to rewire itself for what you want to achieve and what you want to do. And that thing, you know, setting aside time to think reminds me of a coach had once taught me that when you just set time to dream, and really, you know, not by dreaming like, oh, I'm going to dream of this stuff that I don't want or won't happen, but think differently about your life in the world and what you want to achieve. And your brain actually expands beyond the limitations that you have daily. So when you set time to just dream, your brain expands larger than it would be if you just go to work, sit on your phone, go to bed, you know. So I dream all the time. Recently, I've been wanting to travel more. That's in like my higher visions, you know, traveling whenever I want. And I've been really feeling the emotion behind that. And the past 2 weeks, I found myself dreaming about different places to travel for over half of my day. You know, just in the back of my head, I'll be working and I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be cool to go to Great Lodge with my family right now. And every day I dream about that, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
well,
dreaming's huge. I mean, it's all part of it. I totally agree on that. I've been a dreamer, and I guess everybody's different in what they dream about, but it doesn't matter. Dream, keep dreaming. You know, you always hear little memes here and there. You know, once you stop dreaming, you stop living. That's true. You know, continue dreaming. Dreaming about your business, what it can be, what it can become, and the success that you have. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening on this episode, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks, Andy.
If you want to learn more about guerrilla marketing, visit biggorillamarketing.com. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Big Guerrilla Marketing. To thank our sponsors, Awaken Marketing, Awaken New Possibilities, Griner Law Group, Small Business Showcase Magazine, celebrating the small business spirit, M&D Advertising, Creations Beyond Expectations, and Big Gorilla Sales and Marketing Training, bringing out your inner gorilla.